If you are a high achiever or the go-to person or the expert, you probably feel like a fraud despite being so smart and ambitious. If you ever doubt yourself or feel undeserving of your success, this video is for you. In this video, I'll talk about imposter syndrome, how it shows up in everyday life, and how to overcome it. Hi, I am Lilian. I am a certified leadership coach. I'm also a leader in healthcare. So let's get into it. In my experience coaching leaders, the most outwardly accomplished leaders, the most successful looking leaders often experience the most self-doubt. They often second guess themselves and feel the need to over-explain themselves. I work with women mostly, and I found that the most accomplished women have higher standards for themselves and often feel the pressure to prove their worth, to prove that they deserve to be in the seat that they occupy. In one study in the Journal of Internal Medicine, it showed that 8 out of 10 people have experienced imposter syndrome. I will explain why we fail to gauge our abilities using the Dunning-Kruger effect. So this is a bias that we have as human beings. So as you can see on the graph, at the start of something new, here you know nothing and your confidence is low. When you start learning something new, your confidence shoots up. It shoots all the way up, and this is the peak of man's stupidity. You start to know a little bit, but you don't know yet how much you need to learn. You don't know the gaps. You know that energy you feel, that adrenaline rush that you feel when you're just starting something new. So after you get from the peak of man's stupidity, you start to become more aware of the gaps and how much work it will take for you to actually learn what you're trying to learn. And then this is where you fall into the valley of despair. A lot of people get stuck at this point and do not keep going. But if you keep going, you get to this stage, which is the slope of enlightenment or conscious competence. And in this stage, you've learned a lot, you've mastered the skill, but you still need to put effort in order to perform the skill. As you continue to put the effort, your confidence rises, your competence also rises. Now you get to the final stage, which is unconscious competence, or this is the guru stage, where the knowledge has become second nature. You can just someone can wake you up and you just know what you're talking about, and you don't have to put in as much effort anymore. It's just your brain just knows what to do. A lot of us, it's like if you've driven for a long time, when you get into the car, you're not thinking anymore, where is the brake? Where's the accelerator? You're not thinking, where should I put the keys? Or you're just not thinking a lot because it's just become almost like second nature in your brain. For a lot of high achievers, they get to this stage where outwardly they seem like gurus. However, their confidence is in the dumps. Their confidence is stuck in the valley of despair. So the confidence isn't really matching their level of skill. I was so surprised when I would speak to people who I saw as role models, when I would speak to leaders or people in higher positions in my company, and I would find that they, despite looking so inspirational to me, despite looking so confident, felt the most self-doubt. Get here and be an expert, but your confidence level is still here. A lot of us associate work with self-worth. We associate our achievements with self-worth. So whenever anything goes wrong, it doesn't go how we plan. It's a knock to our own self-esteem. And so despite of doing so much and putting in so much work, we're focusing on the negative parts of the learning journey. Because to be honest, the learning journey is, I'm gonna squiggle here a little bit, is up and down, right? So it's never going to be just like a straight line or a linear line just going upward all the time. There's going to be so many squiggly lines to get to the point where you're learning. So when you associate your worth with the achievements that you have, when you experience any setbacks, it's a knock to your confidence. When you get any negative comments or feedback, it's a knock to your confidence. So without realizing it, you leave your confidence all the way here while you're marching forward. So what do we do about this? We underestimate how much work it takes us to get to expert level. We underestimate how much work you've put in. You underestimate how much you had to learn, how much skill it took. And so you feel that your achievements are attributed to luck rather than the effort that you put in. A lot of times I hear people say, yeah, I just got lucky. And I hear this a lot more in women. Oh, I just got lucky. It's not that good. Or you feel shy of your own achievement. You're not owning it or stepping up and being like, yeah, I think I did well. I put in the effort and I got the results that I wanted. So when we fail to gauge our abilities, we attribute our success to luck. That means that we think that we just got lucky and we didn't get good enough to actually be able to get where we're at. And that means that our confidence stays at this level where we're talking about the valley of despair, where we didn't know anything. This is dangerous because underestimating our abilities can lead us to inaction. It can lead us to making sour decisions. It can lead to a lot of missed opportunities and negative emotions. I always encourage people to apply for things that you don't feel like you qualify for. Failing to gauge our abilities really impacts our career. It impacts the way we lead. It impacts our businesses and personal life. Now that we understand the process of how we fail to gauge our abilities, let's talk about how it shows up in daily life. First, let's start with perfectionism. So perfectionism is a tendency to strive for flawlessness in order to meet one's own exceptionally high standards. People with imposter syndrome often have self-imposed, impossible to reach goals and think if it's not flawless, then it's not worth it. A lot of times this is driven by fear of failure or fear of judgment or fear of not being good enough. And it often leads to a lot of procrastination. It leads to burnout because you're overworking and over preparing and you feel like nothing is ever good enough. So you're not good enough. Again, we're going back to the attaching achievements to our self-worth. If you attach your achievement to a self-worth, that means that anything you do that doesn't go your way is a knock to your self-esteem. You almost like remove points to your self-esteem. You remove points to your confidence because everything becomes attached to who you are as a human being. I would like to let you know that your inherent worth is not about external factors. You're inherently worthy as a human being. You tend to criticize yourself more because you didn't reach those standards. You speak negatively to yourself and then you have lower self-esteem. So here is how we can interrupt the cycle of perfectionism. The strategy number one that I use is don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. One thing is to focus on progress over perfection. So this came from my own learning from YouTube. I started like 4 channels. I would start and delete everything and start over again and delete the channel. This is my 4th channel. And this time I told myself, even if it's not perfect, put it out there. This is the process of learning. So instead of focusing on the outcome, my goal is to post 2 videos per week and each video find one thing to make better. That helps me just focus on the input that I put in. The external outcomes will come as a result of me putting in the work. When you focus so much on the outcome, your growth becomes limited because you're chasing this goal. You may not have as much fuel to keep going for a long time because a lot of times things take long to reach. So you don't have fuel to get there because of how much you're focusing on the outcome. But if you focus on the input and if you focus on getting better and if you focus on the growth, you will keep going for much longer. And then the outcomes will then come as a result of it. At the same time, I find that we overestimate what's going to happen when we fail. We often think that if we fail, everybody's going to judge us. We're not good enough. And a lot of times, unless you're working in fields that are like life or death, if you're a surgeon, if you're a pilot, a lot of times failure won't mean the end of you. It may be a little bit of a setback. If you own it and have that humility, a lot of people will be accepting towards that. Sometimes people won't be, but I think internally you need to be accepting of the fact that you're human and you're going to make mistakes on the way. So that's strategy number 1. Don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. Focus on progress and setting input goals rather than focusing on perfection and outcome goals. The second way imposter syndrome shows up is through comparison. When you're surrounded by other high performers, you often feel inferior and you measure your worth based on what other people are achieving. A lot of times we compare our own internal feelings with other people's external feelings. Like I said before, in my experience, a lot of people who seem outwardly very accomplished often also experience so much imposter syndrome, but you wouldn't be able to tell from the outside. So then we start to focus on the fact that they feel confident. Then we feel alone in our imposter feelings or in our self-doubt. We feel that we're the only one experiencing this, so that means that we're not good enough. It's hard to say don't compare yourself just because we live in a world that reflects to us all the time other people. It reflects to us, social media, we can see other people living these large lives, and a lot of times it's not even a true representation. Instead of comparing yourself, switch to being inspired. What is it about this person that's making you feel a bit insecure? What can you learn from that? What skills or what behaviors are they showing that you want to learn? How are they showing up? Who are they? What is it about them that makes you feel a bit jealous or compare yourself. And instead of getting stuck in, I'm not good enough, choose something about them or an aspect about them that you can work on to move towards your goals. Another thing is that make sure that you're comparing yourself to people you actually want to be like. I find that because we're bombarded with so much online and even in our lives, we have succumbed, or we have just followed whatever everyone else's definition of success is, or everyone else's definition of achievement is, and we forgot to actually set our own definition. So sitting down and actually reflecting, what do you define as success? A lot of times we define success as money, and we literally worship people who have made billions. They may not be the best people. A lot of times they're a bit psychopathic and we feel that we need to be that ruthless to actually be successful. Success can be defined in so many ways. Success can also be defined in the relationships that you build, just you learning new knowledge, you getting better at whatever your craft is. So the biggest thing for me here is actually looking at what are you defining as success. And then if you're going to compare yourself to people, look at people who are where you want to be and then learn from them. Pick out things that they're doing better than you, things that you can learn from them, and use those as inspiration to move towards your goals. The other thing that has helped me with comparison is having a confidence library. I call this my courage library. So the way I think about confidence, I don't think confidence is a starting point. Confidence happens after you have done something. So after you've put in the reps, then confidence ensues. So instead of focusing on being confident to start with, we can borrow confidence from evidence that we have collected. And this suggests that we actually need to be out there and put ourselves out there and actually do difficult things and do hard things in order to collect this evidence and prove to ourselves that we are people who we can trust. What I do is that I have a courage library. I use my Remarkable. Here it is. I use my Remarkable. I do all my note taking. I do my journals here. I also have my confidence library in here. And what that looks like is I write notes, things that I tried that were uncomfortable, but I still push through. When I get any praise from people, when somebody gives me good feedback, I also put it there. I also write things that maybe I got negative feedback to begin with, but then I've gotten better. I also record praise from your coworkers, or you get emails from your boss or anybody else praising you for your good work. You can start a folder in your emails, or you can start a folder on your computer or on your phone, and just have those. On those moments where you're feeling low, it really does help to just go through that, to see the journey of how far you've come. I really think documenting your journey is one of the best things. One, for your own learning, and you can also help others learn. I think we focus so much on the negative. I feel that especially with self-improvement, we're focused so much on what do we need to do better, where do we need to improve. And I love that. I love self-help. I have so many books here where I'm trying to get myself better, where I'm trying to think better, be a better person, communicate better. However, the constant fixating on negativity further highlights the weaknesses. So we're always focusing on weaknesses, so that becomes the thing that our brain points out more and more. I think we need to balance that with also appreciating ourselves for our own achievements and training our brain to also focus on the good parts so that we can increase our confidence as we get better. A lot of times you find that people are running, I don't know if I would call this like dirty fuel or versus clean fuel. A lot of times people are not running on the best fuel. So they put in so much work, but because it's from a negative place, because it's from a place where they feel unworthy, they're trying to prove a point, where they're beating themselves up for failing, they're beating themselves up for not being good enough. They get to a point where, yes, because they've put in the work, they've learned the skill, naturally they'll get better, but their heart, their mind is still stuck in that place of negativity. It's still stuck in that place where they feel like they're not worthy, they're undeserving. So I like to balance that with appreciating yourself. Try to run on cleaner fuel. Try to balance your energies. Yes, we're human. You will have times where you feel low, where you beat yourself up a little bit. When those negative thoughts come up, you need to also be able to walk yourself through them with compassion, where you're not judging yourself from having negative thoughts. I didn't understand that our brains are wired for keeping us safe. So whenever we're doing something that's difficult, whenever we're doing something that feels uncomfortable, our brain will make us feel like we shouldn't try it for safety. And so we get stuck in this anxiety loops, and then more anxiety leads to to lower confidence, and then inaction. Acting regardless is one of those things that has really helped me walk through those negative feelings and keep the momentum. You need to get this book if you struggle with self-doubt. I find this book helped me so much. Let me read a little bit of it. Through her research and work with high performers at some of the world's top companies, Sade Zarai uncovered a surprising truth. The most successful people aren't free from doubt, they act in spite of it. Thanks to 4 key attributes: acceptance, agency, autonomy, and adaptability. Without these attributes, doubt keeps calling the shots, no matter how talented or driven you are. If you want to learn how to be more autonomous, how to develop your self-agency, how to become more accepting and develop acceptance for yourself, and how to be adaptable, you need to read this book. It's my biggest recommendation for anyone. I actually just bought it for a friend as well. There's also unexpected benefits of imposter syndrome. A lot of times we think of it as completely negative. Studies also show that people with imposter syndrome are more attentive, more thoughtful, and more attuned to others' emotions. They also tend to be more other-oriented, empathetic, and have stronger people skills. We freak out when we feel like imposters, but this is a human emotion. Lean into it, act regardless, and if you didn't feel like an imposter, that may be more of a problem. The common thread that I have seen with high achievers or smart people who thrive in spite of imposter feelings has actually been intellectual humility or having a growth mindset. You don't need to pretend like you know it all. You don't need to know it all. You just need to learn and have that mindset of, I'm always learning, I'm always growing. I find that people who tend to be like, I have to be the expert, I have to know everything, everybody expects me to know everything, they struggle the most with imposter syndrome and feeling that they're not good enough. One of the things is that we all experience this. We can all relate to feeling like imposters. And I found that when you have that humility and growth mindset and actually put it out there, hey, I'm still learning. Like in this video, I am still learning. I'm still learning how to be more concise. I'm still learning how to be a better presenter and be more engaging, but I'm trying and I'm showing up. And if you have any comments, any tips that you may have or things that you feel that I could do better, put it in the comments below. I think inviting people to even give you feedback helps you also become better quicker. One of the things I really want to focus on is that a lot of us root our identity in being high achievers, in being top performers, being the best or the most perfect person at said thing, or being perceived as so smart. This often gets in the way of us remaining curious. It gets in the way of us growing. It also gets in the way of us exploring alternatives rather than appreciating our strength. We need to all trust ourselves to let go of that. Our identity is not only rooted in achievements. There's so many things that make us who we are, that make up our identity. And it's something that can be shifting. It's something that we can grow. We don't have to strictly define ourselves at this one thing. I feel like it's a disservice. There's so much to human life. There's so much to you as a person. There's so much that you also discover about yourself when you choose to let go of these fixed identities and see yourself as a growing person, see yourself as an adaptable person, see yourself as someone who has all these multifacets and works towards building a fuller life instead of just defining yourself by this one thing, achievement. Thank you so much. Please let me know when you have experienced imposter syndrome, how you've managed to overcome it, or if you're still struggling with imposter syndrome, let me know what parts you're struggling with the most, or what do you experience, so that we can work together towards you feeling more confident and towards you redefining yourself and seeing yourself as a full human being who is capable of learning, who can adapt, and whose identity is not only tied in achievements. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to seeing you on the next video and also hearing from you in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with somebody to start up a conversation or somebody you feel needs this. See you next time.